Chapter 1. Boy King. Brussels, Netherlands, 1515. In the year of our Lord 1515, January 15th, a Friday. It would be a day that would be branded into her memory, an echo of history with which would never depart her waking moments and darken her most restful dreams. Don Juan Manuel de la Cerda was a mistake. Margaret saw that now. But there was little the now former regent of the Netherlands could do. Prince de Spain, her nephew, was now ruler of the Habsburg Netherlands as Duke of Burgundy at the age of 14. A handful of months short of his 15th birthday and officially coming of age to take rule. The Duchess tightened her heavy cloak around her small frame as a shiver ran down her whole body. Margaret looked upwards as the first droplets of white, fluffy moisture fell from the heavens above. The last rays of sunlight penetrated through the graying clouds, the sun clinging desperately to the towers of the Cathedral of St. Michael and St. Gudula. It was as if the sun used the mightily imposing towers as a last bastion to hold itself up against the coming darkness of night. Suddenly, a hand lay on her shoulder, and the Duchess was startled out of her desperate thoughts. Turning, she saw her secretary and chamberlain, Louis Béranger. He had been standing there the entire time with her, his heavy winter attire collecting the fat, soft snowflakes on the shoulders and upper torso at an increasing rate. Duchess, his soft voice carried as he pointed a hand towards the approaching carriage, your carriage. In the moments it took the carriage to arrive, Margaret looked around. Around her, the remnants of the festival day were about, servants, personal secretaries, and a handful of imperial troops still lingered. The two beforehand mentioned were tightening up after their overlords who still carried on the festivities some distance away at a local hall with the newly crowned Duke of Burgundy, Prince de Spain. Several small groups of influential statesmen and nobility lingered around as well in the cold, not ones for overly dramatic festivals, as they spoke in hushed tones with local church clergy of the day's events. Charles, the new 14-year-old ruler, was indeed the news of the day, both good and bad news for all parties involved. He had been crowned Duke of Burgundy at the Cathedral of St. Michael and St. Gudula this day. The church bells rang as the carriage came to a halt, and with the bells the echo of the very doom that could destroy the Spanish Habsburg dynasty across Europe, William de Croix, better known as the Lord of Chivres and chief tutor to Prince de Spain, and now the chamberlain to the future Holy Roman Emperor. While the bells spoke of a 4 o'clock time in the afternoon, they also foreshadowed the very real threat to Spanish Germanic rule of Europe. The pro-French nationalist de Croix could now openly and without restraint influence Charles against the values of the Spanish Germanic Habsburg dynasty, the same French that Margaret despised with every part of her soul and a threat that her own father, the current Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian, saw to his grandson Charles all too late. As Louis opened the carriage door and offered a hand to help her up, Margaret saw Jean de Marnix, her treasurer and, most importantly, foreign affairs expert sitting in the carriage. Margaret allowed a smile to cross her face as Louis closed the door behind her and ascended to the passenger seat next to the driver. A few short moments later, the driver's voice rang out from outside and the carriage jerked forward. A candle enclosed in glass provided a flickering amber glow to the otherwise darkened interior of the carriage with the windows covered over for privacy. The candle's light flicked and danced across Jean de Marnix's features. "What news do you have?" Margaret asked. "He will do it," Jean responded, "for a price." Margaret's eyes flashed with inner rage, although she should have known such additional conditions were coming. "What is it?" "Land in Venice. Plus, the already agreed upon coin." "My nephew?" Margaret asked. "Prince de Spain will be unharmed. William de Croix's head is promised." "Fine. On one condition." Jean raised an eyebrow, such as, "William de Croix's head on my terms. When I say, I will make sure he gets his opportunity, and his land and coin are promised upon those conditions." Jean nodded. "I will let him know."